Welcome back. And now joining us is Dr. Wendell Schautz. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're back. I have been waiting to hear about your return trip to Vietnam.
Okay.
So tell us what happened.
Okay, so the last time I was here, we had a notification that they may have located the family of this soldier,
Right.
whose journal I had. As it turned out, that upon further verification, that didn't pan out, and so we're waiting, and almost another year goes by. And I say to Paul, it's time. We gotta go. If we're gonna do it, let's go. They may never find this, this family or the soldier. So.
Right.
And so at the end of March, beginning of April, I flew to Hanoi and I met Paul in Hanoi. And so he had organized, Paul's been back there 4 times, and he had organized an itinerary with the North Vietnamese officials, and we had about a week there. I was going to spend a week in Hanoi, then a week in Cambodia, a week in Thailand. So the first week, when I got to Hanoi, he had reserved a room, and so we got off the plane and went down to Hanoi, and found this little hotel that he had located, and it was the gal took my suitcase, and we start going up these stairs, and it's a spiral staircase. We go up to the 2nd floor, and I'm following her on the 3rd floor, the 4th floor. I go, what? Where we go? Went up to the 6th floor. It was a 6th floor walk up.
Wow.
So that was my introduction to downtown Hanoi. So that's where we were the first day.
Wow. And so you fought in South Vietnam. So this was
Right.
your first trip to Hanoi, which is North Vietnam.
That's right, yeah.
So what was your initial impression of Hanoi and the people there?
Yeah.
What did you expect?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd gone online. I know it's been over 40 years since I was there. It's modernized. They've made big progress, slow progress. It's still, a third world country, but they're very industrious, very hardworking. Everybody seems to have a motor scooter. And I tell you, it's pandemonium and chaos. Beep, 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 and wow, it was crazy. So we had a driver there that took us down from the airport. And the interesting thing is with the people, I just say that they're industrious, hardworking. They're up at 4 in the morning. They get these little stalls going on the streets. But this pandemonium with these scooters are, but there's no accidents. And everybody's pretty cool because the driver in our SUV would beep and they'd pull over, and we'd pass it. I can't imagine seeing this in America. Nobody got road rage. They'd smile. It was just very interesting, a whole different concept on how to drive. Just pandemonium, but actually order and chaos.
Wow.
That's the way I could describe it.
Order and chaos.
Yeah, but very, very, very gracious people.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you're there to return, as a reminder, you're there to return a journal.
Yeah. So this was very, very well planned.
Right.
And we met generals there. Itinerary going to, there was an American Vietnam Friendship Society where they took us and we met our adversaries, guys my age that fought. And, this is 40 plus years. I have no problem with animosity. It's beyond. I've moved beyond that. So it was good to see these people. We shook hands. We're telling stories. Where you hear their stories and our stories, and it was all good. And there's reparations, and these people need help. They're struggling, and so we went from there, and then there were different tours at different places. Probably the most significant was the National War Museum, where we met the generals, and we exchanged. There was press there. They had press with the cameras. The North Vietnamese TV and radio was there. They were filming this whole thing, and I have the presentation of the box.
Right.
And they gave talks. They gave me a lovely, beautiful bouquet of flowers. There's a picture, and of all of us standing in the front, our translator and the officials, the generals and the colonels, with the Ho Chi Minh in the background, the statue. There's one funny thing I will tell you. Paul Reed, who organized all this, he wrote a book 20 years ago. There was a film crew. He's got an option on making a film of this book, and his
interesting.
Our thing with finding these rucksacks. And so he's toured the United States. He's been back about 4 times, and so this time, there's a picture of it as a photo opportunity, and I noticed this picture after it's been taken. So we're all standing in the front, and the presentation, and there's Paul, and the general's holding his book, and I saw this. I said, afterwards, I said, Paul, I know you've been over here, and I thought this was my deal, my spotlight, my presentation, and you're shamelessly promoting your book. I said, you're raining on my parade. What's the deal?
Right, right.
And just pulling his leg.
Right.
So, but he did get some promotion, and it's a very interesting story, and it could be a movie someday. So
it sounds like it. It sounds like it. And so he was the inspiration for you to do this as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If Paul hadn't, I doubt if I'd have ever gone through the inertia and gone over there, and I couldn't have done it without his help.
Right.
Yeah.
And your whole purpose was to make sure that this got back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What was their impression of receiving it back? What did they say to you?
They were very gracious and sensitive.
Because they're still on track to find the gentleman's family.
Yeah.
But they were able to receive it.
Unfortunately, I suspect the soldier died sometime during the war.
Yeah.
And again, they haven't found the family. So.
Right. But it's home.
But it's home. It's in the museum now, and they're still looking. So the press people said we're still searching. So maybe it'll show up. Maybe.
So that sounds like it was all successful.
Yeah.
Did you have any bumps in the road? Those unexpected things in travel? What happened?
I did. Well, I was supposed to be there like a week, about 3 days into it. I thought it was maybe the 6th floor walk I was going up and down. I was forgetting stuff, and my joints started to ache.
Oh, no.
And I developed night sweats, severe night sweats, and lethargia, no appetite. I was coming down with something, and I thought, well, I'm just going to grin and bear it and deal with it. Maybe it's a little bug. Well, my translator, about the 3rd or 4th day, she was looking and says, you need to go to the hospital, and we need to do it. And I said, really? Well, there's an English-speaking hospital I can take you to. Okay, so. Anyway, long story short, I had IV. They did a complete exam, probably the most thorough physical exam I've ever had. I mean, they ran every test, x-rays. Lab results, my WBCs are off the charts. They're up about 17,000. So I had a non-specific bacterial infection. They had a port in my arm, and I was getting IV, and they gave me 10 days of antibiotics. And of course, with antibiotics, you don't want to be drinking any alcohol or getting excessive sun exposure.
Right.
I'm thinking, great, I'm here on vacation. I'm going to go to, Thailand, and I was going to lie on the beach.
So what did you end up having?
It was non-specific. The doctor said, we don't know. It's non-specific. I may have picked something up on the airplane.
Oh, God.
And so my advice to people who are listening in my age range, I did not have any health insurance. I didn't even think of, I don't have problems. I didn't think of getting health insurance. so it set me back about $1,000 when everything was done, which was but they nailed it, and I took my medicine.
Okay, literally.
Yeah.
You took your medicine.
Yeah, I got over it. I was done in a few days. So.
Okay.
But
Wow, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a wrinkle.
Yeah.
But so I was not able to do all the other tours they had. They had us going to an island, and there was a cruise, and I wanted to meet Paul Reed's lieutenant, who he still keeps in touch with. I was in a hospital. I couldn't do it.
Right,
But I missed part of it out. But
right. But how did you conclude your presentation of the diary?
Well, it was all recorded by the North Vietnamese,
Good.
and they took it into their respectful, handling of it, and And then Saturday came, I had to fly out. I told the doc, hey, we got to nail this thing because I'm flying out Saturday. I got my reservation for Phnom Penh, Cambodia. So, so we had it was a good break. People were wonderful and they were very helpful.
And then on to Cambodia.
Yeah.
Wow, what was that like? Did you travel to this part in the 1960s?
No, I'd only been to Vietnam.
Okay.
So
this was a whole new experience as well.
Yeah, Cambodia was, yeah.
And what was your interaction with the Cambodians like?
They were very nice. People are just, my first impression when you go to a store and you buy, say, a banana or something, and you're paying for, some little indescribable thing, and you pay, and they would give you your change. They would all bow very graciously, like thank you. They're very reverent and very sweet and kind, and just no matter what, they were all very, very, very respectful. Wow. And so I was supposed to meet some expats there, and my son was supposed to join me.
Nice.
Yeah, and because I was going to 3 different countries, three different currencies, and I had a new cell phone that I had. I'm still on, analog, and anyways, he couldn't make it. The expat, one of my friends I had met in the pool in Calcourts, he had to fly home for a medical family thing, and so I was hanging out by myself, and but that was fine. I wanted to go to the killing fields and Angkor Wat.
Oh, wow.
And so I took a driver to the killing fields where the Khmer Rouge, in the early 70s, slaughtered 3 million of their people. And you can go there, and it's very sad, it almost made me nauseous. Indescribable horror that they put their people through these pits. And so there's earphones you can get. They have them in probably 20 different languages, and you go to
so they have a tour.
It's a self-guided tour. You walk around where these killing fields were, and you have your cassette for each place. There's about 20 different things you listen to, and they have interviews with people who had been there or survived or knew things. Horrific, absolutely unbelievable suffering. And so that was, I went there, and then I met a member of the royal family that I had a contact with from Eureka, and he was Prince Vittorio Norodom, and a member of the royal family, like I say. And so he came to my hotel, finally,
Really? A prince came to your hotel?
Yeah.
Not everybody can say that.
That's right. And
why did he come to you?
Okay, because I had a photograph to give him from a business friend of mine in Eureka who knew his family, and so he said, Fritz, the prince has taken a vow of poverty, so you need to take him around and whatever, pay for anything, and that's it. And so I had this image of like a monk type individual, and so he was anything but, and he was a very interesting, charming fellow. He was French educated, and very, very charming fellow. And we spent about 3 hours up in my hotel, up in the pool area, and we shared stories because he had fought the Vietnamese also in the late 80s.
Really?
And it was the late 70s and early 80s, something like that. And we shared stories fighting the Vietnamese. Very interesting fellow, very, 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 I'd like to get in touch with him again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's just incredible. And what else was memorable for you there?
Well, if you go to Cambodia, you have to go to Angkor Wat. You have to see that. And I took a class with Barry Evans and his wife last year about visiting Southeast Asia and what to prepare for. And he said, good advice, go there for the sunrise. You want to get there early in the morning. So my driver picked me up in the dark, and we drove around. He kind of got lost, but the sun was just starting to Angkor Wat is an amazing temple. It goes back to I think it's 1100 AD,
wow.
And it's huge. It goes on for miles and miles. I mean, you would really need weeks to fully tour the whole thing and appreciate what's there. Beautiful temples, beautiful statues, and there's some pictures that'll come up on this, and it was just amazing Buddhist temple area, and it's a World Heritage Site, so if you ever get a chance, you definitely want to see it. And it was a whole day. I met this lady, she said, would you take a picture of me with this Buddha? And he was doing some chants and stuff, and she was English speaking. It was from Australia. It was interesting. Finally, have somebody to talk to in English.
Right.
And so she had her driver. I had my driver. Went to several different places, several different temples, and we're taking pictures. And it's really hot, unbelievably 100% humidity. It's like we're dying there, And you keep just drinking fluids.
Yes, of course.
And so we've been to 3 different sites, and I'm saying, I figure I put a good day in here. I'm about done. I said, I think I'm done. She says, yeah, me too. She says, what time is it? I look at my watch. I couldn't believe it. It was about 9 o'clock in the morning. And, we had been at sunrise, and the heat had killed us. So
right.
That was it.
Right.
We were done. Went back to the pool, swam, and had a great time.
Good.
So, and this lady was leaving for Australia, or leaving for India the next day. She reminded me of that lady, the book, Pray, Love.
Oh, Eat, Pray, Love.
Eat, Pray, Love. Because she's still traveling around, and I see her on Facebook every once in a while.
Really?
She's been to multiple countries, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, where did you go after that? You were telling me that your last week was spent in Thailand?
Right. So I go to Thailand, fly to Thailand.
This is a whirlwind tour, it sounds like.
And I had a friend that really, my friend Mark, put me up in the hotels, beautiful, gorgeous hotels, and my air transportation was taken care of. It was just me that had to depend on where to go and what to do. So I saw some beautiful islands there. It's a charming place. And again, the people are sweet, wonderful food. It was a very interesting place, a lovely place. And finally, I was taking those antibiotics, and I got to quit after 8 days. My mouth was raw. I stopped the antibiotics. I was able to get on the beach for a day,
Oh, my goodness.
And the other interesting thing I meant to say, in Cambodia and in Thailand, they have these little street sellers, and they sell fruit, drinks, and they're fresh: coconut, watermelon,
Nice.
dragon fruit, and they juice them right there for you, fresh,
Really?
and they put them in ice, and it's delicious. So I couldn't drink anything else really, and I'm pounding these fruit drinks down. They were invigorating, they were delicious. When I got home, I had taken off 15 pounds. I wasn't even trying. I lost 15 pounds.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And
without
the
even
humidity
trying.
didn't, you were totally
Humidity.
in a sauna.
Humidity, yeah. April is not a great time to visit Southeast Asia. I would not recommend it.
No,
You wanna
April
go
is
to
not.
one of
And that's
those.
when you were there in April?
Well, because we're waiting to hear
Right.
if they found the family of the
Right.
sojourner lead in it. So anyways, I'm in Thailand, and it's gorgeous, and I'm thinking, wow, would it really be nice to, just hang out? And then I looked, I thought it wasn't. Oh, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the movie Bridge on the River Kwai?
I know of it. I have yet
Okay.
to see it.
That's interesting, because people of my age, my generation, every time I ask them, they know it. People, I would say 45 or under, don't really know it. It was an amazing movie. Came out in 1968.
Right.
It was David Lean's first big production. It was for, I think, 9 Academy Awards. It won 8. Amazing movie about World War II bridge that the POWs built. And I think, isn't this bridge somewhere in, Thailand or Malaysia or someplace in Indochina? And I looked it up, and it was just outside, about 50 miles outside of Bangkok. So I hire a drive from Phuket to Bangkok. It's about a 5-hour drive to find this bridge. And I found the bridge, which is really cool, for me anyways, and took pictures of it. And,
Was it what you expected?
It never is. It's always a little bit different. The movie obviously was different.
Right.
The movie, they blow it up. It was actually taken out by B-24 American bombers later on in the war, because the Japanese were using it to retreat back, and they took it out. But if you ever get a chance, see the movie. It's brilliant, beautiful, evocative. But what I just felt the suffering, horrible, horrible POW suffering. British and Australian POWs were forced in slave labor to build this bridge for the Japanese. They were dying like flies. They came down with malaria, dengue fever, cholera, dysentery.
And whatever you had, probably.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I had a lightweight, but I spent a year in the jungle. I know how what the jungle does. These poor guys, had very little food, gruel, no medical supplies. So I went there, and there's a museum there. There's some pictures that will show, and the most moving thing was the cemetery that is kept in loving condition, maintained by people to this day. And there's over 6,000 of these POWs in this cemetery alone. There were hundreds of thousands of Malaysians, slave laborers that died. This was called the Death Railway. And
Really?
They were working 18-hour days and working these people to death. And I went to the cemetery, and it's very moving. And there was, and you'll see it, these gravestones, gives the name of the soldier and the unit he served in his age, and when he died. And you can't help but be emotionally affected when you're walking along and seeing these sentiments. This one, you have the name of the fellow, and there's 2 lines for a parent or somebody to put down there, and it was, we miss you so much, our loving, beautiful son, and we'll see you, again. Keep smiling. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was very, very, very emotional for all the people that perished in that war.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, but that was my last day, and then I got home, flew home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that. After reflection, what have you come away with all of this? Because it was, I think, the ball was rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to return this. Who do we contact? Okay, I'm there. I take a tour. And now that you got to come home and think on it,
Well,
what do you come away with?
The whole thing was for reunification, redemption. We had friendship. We were doing peace. Sort of a reconciliation for our countries post-war, and we went in friendship, and we met friends over there. So, I've moved on. I know everybody's perception is different. Everybody's perception, your personal perception is what reality is, and so I've come to peace, and by sharing like what we're doing here, I can maybe help the people in Vietnam, have more of a reconciliation as well by putting that word out. People go visit Vietnam and tour. It's a beautiful, beautiful country.
Yeah, because you were how old? And you were there in '68.
I turned 21 over there.
You turned 21 over there, and you had a different perception at that point. How has your perception changed between being a young kid and getting a chance to go back, being an older, more mature gentleman?
Yeah, you're a young kid, totally different environment. You're going off to war, son. You're going off to war, Johnny, and you did what you had to do, suck it up and drive on.
Yeah.
And if, and you come out of it, and I was very fortunate to come out unscathed, very, very blessed, very fortunate, so unlike many of my colleagues. And then today, so it's, that was a long time ago. It was another lifetime away. So I'm glad to be able to have made that circle.
Yeah, I am too. As somebody learning about this through your eyes and hearing different stories, I am too. What would you have to tell your fellow Vietnam vet that would like to do this? How would you prepare them for such a trip?
Well, that's up to the individual. I know many have gone back, and many have joined Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and they've built things. They've built, schools and improved water conditions, and that's giving is always a healing thing for people to do. Give of yourself in any way you can. It's healthy for you. You need to talk. You got to talk it out. Your nightmares. Talk it out. Talk to other vets. But if that works for you, go over it. I mean, it's totally different. I couldn't go back to the battlefields I was at. They've chopped all the huge triple canopy trees down and put pine trees. So there's no connection viscerally from that. But it's always helpful to people when you can help somebody else. Help give of yourself in some way, whatever way works for you.
Right. Good. Mm-hmm. Good. And we have just a few minutes. What's next for you?
Just staying alive. Yeah. Oh, what trips? No, no, I'm good. I enjoy my retirement, and I'm involved a little bit with the Ali program. Plenty of classes for folks my age. I volunteer locally, a couple different places, and so I keep busy.
Right.
I guess the big challenge would be if I try to learn cello or something. That would really be cool.
There you go. And what do you hope that the people watching today, the Ali people specifically, what do you hope they get out of this?
Just a viewpoint, I guess. I mean, I take classes just for, personal enrichment, and I hope this has been simple and enriching. Ali's great. I love Ali. I've taken classes through Ali for years and years. It's a great group of people. There's a lot of talent out there. Lay people, there's professional people. Boy, if you haven't had a chance to sign up for Ali, highly recommend doing it. It's great. It's terrific. Yeah, keeps you busy. Gives you something to do.
Now, do you have any plans for another return trip back?
No.
Did you see everything you wanted to see?
I had an episode that happened in Hanoi. Like I said, I was getting sick, and my muscle rag. I didn't know what I had. I wanted to go for a massage, so he said, "Here's a place down the street." So this person's taking me upstairs, and it's this very badly lit place. We get to the top of the landing, and there was a low overhang, and I go up, and I go, bam! And I dropped to my knees, and I racked my neck. So now my neck's messed up. I got to Cambodia, and I found a French-speaking chiropractor that had studied in the United States, in California. And anyway, he corrected my neck, and it made it helped on my healing. Yeah.
Well,
so I'm not sure what your question was, or if that.
Well, did you get a chance to see everything you got to see? Did you everything that you wanted?
I did, except my expats, and it would have been fun to. Yeah, I would suggest taking family, friends with you or whatever, which was my intent. It didn't work out that way. And folks, if you're over 50, 60, get health insurance before you go to a foreign country. Yeah,
right.
It's I didn't know about it. So.
Well, Mr. Schautz, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, everyone. We will see you next time.